Hey guys, welcome back to 720 Homes Education. Hope you've been having fun with the content that we've been putting out so far. We recently went to a flip property and that was a bunch of fun. Hopefully you're able to learn something about how we identify properties, what we're looking at in terms of rehab. We got some of those free tools like our offer calculator. But today I want to go over mindset. If you guys didn't know, we've been cultivating a little community for newer investors and wholesalers, people who want to get into the real estate sphere. We have a Discord. We also have an email list where we will communicate and see what people are struggling with. And so we'll get a lot of questions from people who are newer and who are struggling. Mindset is something that has come up a few times. So I thought it would be worth making a video going over some of the things that we've coached some of these newer investors on. One thing that comes up over and over again is people are making calls or going out and driving and they don't see success right away. And so they ask, okay, how do I stay motivated? What do I do when I have these setbacks? Or, when someone yells at me on the phone, how do I stay motivated? This is the general question. What do I do? I just have a few thoughts that I'm going to condense. People who are successful are not successful because they have never encountered failure. The people who are successful because they encountered failure and learned how to push through it. The people who are not successful yet or haven't been successful are often the people who encounter failure and then they stop and they try something else and they're done with it. The people who are successful encounter failure and they push through that and then they encounter failure again and push through that and they keep going until they achieve the success. You're going to have to develop the skill of pushing through the failures. That's the first thing. That can be hard to stay motivated. And now I want to go over the difference between motivation and discipline. For me, motivation is the ability to get excited to go do something. And a lot of times I feel that motivation comes from an exterior source. So you go to a live event, you go and talk to someone, you get some mentorship, you get fired up, you get excited to go do something, you're motivated. You take action to do something that you are excited about doing. And that is good. Being able to get yourself excited to do something, that's good and that has value, especially in the sales sphere of things, because sales is often an energy transfer. So the energy that you convey when you're meeting someone to go over a sales product or a pitch or a phone call, that energy that you have will often dictate how that conversation goes. And so you want to be careful. Let's say you have a bad call. You want to make sure that you totally forget about that and you don't bring that into your next call. Getting yourself motivated, that can be important. Making sure that you have the correct energy or attitude when you're going into something, that's very important. However, there's also something that's equally as important, and that's discipline. And that is the ability to do something even when you do not want to do it. And that is important because no matter what you are doing, there's going to be hardships and there's days that are not fun and things that are not enjoyable. And so if you're only going to do something when you're excited to do it, well, then you'll never do something 100%. So you have to be able to do something when you're not excited about it. And that's discipline. Because there are going to be days where you don't want to make the calls. There are going to be days where it's not fun. And discipline helps you do it anyways. You guys might have heard the worst workout at the gym is better than no workout, or a little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing. That's my personal one. That's going to be the difference between motivation and discipline. The next question that arises from that is, okay, how do I stay motivated or how do I stay disciplined to do something? Having routines is incredibly helpful. We're creatures of habit. So if we can get into the habit of doing something that is good and beneficial, it's easier to stick with that. My first piece of advice is make sure that you're creating routines to help you stay disciplined. When we're talking about things that actually help the mindset, help you mentally to get in a good space and help motivate you or keep you disciplined, I believe that there's something that will help that you should add to either your morning or night routines. And this is affirmations. Now, a lot of people, when they hear affirmations, they think, wow, that is super cheesy. I don't want to have anything to do with it. There's some people who just don't want to do it. I do actually believe in affirmations, so much so that I do affirmations with my kids. I make sure that I do them consistently because I want my kids to have a good self-esteem. I want them to have a positive picture of themselves. I want them to believe that they are capable of achieving greatness. And so I have them repeat affirmations. And they're very simple affirmations. If you have young kids, I'd recommend them. And so some of the ones that I have them say are, I'm loved, I'm cute, I'm funny, I'm fast, I'm strong, I can do it. That's an important one. I'm smart. And I find that they tend to be fairly happy after doing it. And again, that's anecdotal, but try them in your life and see what happens. Another story I have about affirmations comes from coaching gymnastics. So if you guys didn't see, we have some fun videos on the channel of me doing some flips and stuff where I talk about coaching gymnastics. It's something that I've been doing for a long time. I did gymnastics when I was younger. Coaching gymnastics was my first job out of high school. And it's something that I've been doing on the side kind of as a hobby ever since. Why am I telling you this? I don't gotta justify what I do to you. Anyways, it's interesting because the mindset of the athlete plays a huge role into their capabilities. You'll have some athletes that get into mental blocks and they're unable to perform basic skills that they've been doing for years in some cases, or they're unable to learn new things because they've put these mental blocks. And I remember one particular time I was coaching a younger team and we were just trying to teach her how to do a front handspring. Super basic skill. She'd been working on it for a few weeks at this point and she wasn't getting it. It wasn't doing very well. And she kept saying, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I noticed this and I realized that she was reinforcing a negative mindset and it was making it worse for her. Each time she was going, her repetitions were getting worse instead of better. I called her over and I said, hey, before your next turn, we're going to do some affirmations. I want you to repeat what I'm saying to you. And I just gave her some basic affirmations, some of the ones that I still do with my kids. And I had her do this after each of her sets. And by the end of that practice, she was able to do her front handspring. When I physically did that and saw that it had an immediate effect, I was like, whoa, okay, this is actually powerful. And that was actually the thing that made me decide, okay, I need to start doing this with my kids because, wow, I just saw that it had a real positive effect. So affirmations can be incredibly powerful and you should make use of them. The con that I have found is that the older you are, in my opinion, the less effective this is. And I don't know if that's because as we get older, we've instilled too much doubt into ourselves over the periods of our life. I have found that the younger you are, the more powerful these affirmations tend to be and the more effective they are. So again, that's why I'm doing them with my kids. Now, this was my case as an adult. When I first heard affirmations, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. This is stupid. That was my first response when I was told about affirmations for the first time. And one of the problems was I would say these affirmations, I would say it, but then in my mind, in part, I would think, okay, but it's not true. So the affirmation didn't do much for me. Then I was reading a book called The Secret to Success. It's a very cheesy title. I would give the book 3 out of 5 stars. The first third of the book is him just giving you a sales pitch to get his book. And I'm like, bro, I'm already reading your book. You don't need to tell me to read it. You already got me. Just tell me the good stuff. But because it was recommended to me, I read it the whole way through. And I'm glad I did because there's a couple of good principles in there. But I'm going to distill these principles for you. So you don't have to go out and read it if you don't want to. He talks about affirmations, but then he came up with a principle that he calls afformations, the ability to form something. And he also talked about his struggle with affirmations, that sometimes he would say affirmations but not fully believe them. If we also have these problems, how do we overcome this? Well, the answer was through asking correct why questions. And in the book, this principle is discussed that why questions are incredibly powerful because our brain looks for an answer. And most of the time we're doing this negatively without realizing that we're doing it. To give you an example, I hear people say all the time, why can't I get this right? Why can't I do it? Why am I miserable? Why do I suck? Why am I fat? Why is my marriage terrible? Why is X, Y, Z? And it's something negative. And the problem with that is, and you don't even realize it, when you ask yourself a why question, your brain starts looking for an answer. Why am I miserable? Boom, your brain starts working. Boom, 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 boom. And it starts coming up with responses for this. And that is going to negatively impact you. So what we have to do is, one, not ask ourselves negative why questions. They aren't going to help us for the most part. If we're trying to identify a problem, so that way we can then implement a solution, asking questions, asking why questions to identify that might be fine. But most of the time we're not doing that. Most of the time we're just tearing ourselves down and being detrimental. So instead, for you guys who struggle with affirmations, kind of like I do, I would instead build a book of positive why questions. And whether you go the affirmations route, whether you go the afformations route, the positive why questions, or some combination, by the way, because why not combine them? Do them every day. Do them either before you go to bed, do them when you first wake up. I'll give you some example of these positive why questions. Why am I so lucky? Why am I loved? Why do I enjoy my career? Why am I excited to go do this new venture? Why am I coming in contact with all the right people? Why is making money so easy for me? Why am I such a good learner? Why am I so good at my job? We're not trying to be cocky. We're trying to build a foundation for ourselves. And this will help us stay motivated. This will help us stay disciplined. So this would be my call to action for you guys. Get a tiny notebook. Write down your affirmations, write down your afformations. Make sure you're asking yourself positive why questions. I know when I started doing that, I felt an immediate difference. And the more you do it, the more this will compound and help you. It's simple. So some of you guys might think, oh, it's so simple. How's it going to help? Well, if it's simple to do, why not do it? Why not start doing affirmations? Why not start doing these positive why questions and just see what happens to you? So go get a little book, go start writing them down. Read them to yourself every night. Read them to yourself when you first wake up and see what happens to you. And let me know how it goes. I'm excited to hear from you. Post a positive why question in the chat below. What are some of the positive why questions that you are going to put for yourself to help you stay motivated, to help you stay disciplined, to help you be happier? And that's all for now. Hope you got something of value out of this and wish you all the best.